from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, trees and multiforms, it's time for the podcaster who just sprung ahead. And by the time you hear this, you'll be well sprung, and soon, ideally, you'll be well rested. Because this is a podcaster that spirals around like a spring. A couple springs that were like knitted together, because it's time for Sleep With Me, podcast that puts you to sleep. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep. And I'm excited to tell you about my Helix mattress. You know, I took the Helix quiz after I moved at helixsleep.com/sleep. And I got matched with an amazing mattress that fits my sleep needs, my feel preferences. And every winter night, I'm cuddled up in there. I am so cozy. How about you and your mattress? Do you have that kind of same relationship where every night you say, "Hey, boo, I can't wait to see you," like a mattress that fits your needs? What do you want in a mattress? What's going to make you comfortable so that you could drift off into dreamland? That's what Helix has figured out, because you go to helixsleep.com/sleep. You take that Helix quiz. Helix matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs. It makes buying a mattress so easy. It brings such peace of mind. Helix mattresses are award-winning beds, not just my favorites, but they've been tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. And that Helix mattress comes straight to your door. Free shipping in the U.S., and I know I'm sleeping good in my Helix. I just don't know about you and the mattress you have right now. Maybe it is time for an upgrade. And now is the perfect time, because, of course, Helix has a deal for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their President's Day sale. Now through March 1st. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive offer, 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, ZocDoc. And raise your hand if you're a bit of a procrastinator like me. You put off setting up that dental cleaning appointment, or honestly, any kind of appointment, or even like searching for making an appointment, figuring out even how to do that. It's not easy, right? You want to put it off because there's a lot of barriers, it seems like, to making it easy. And here's the thing. I'm so happy that we work with ZocDoc now, because I have new insurance. And I know right now in my hands I have the ZocDoc app. Oh, by the way, ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. And we're talking about booking in-network appointments with over 150,000 providers across all 50 states. Whether you're looking for dermatology, dentistry, primary care, eye care, or one of the other 200-plus specialties offered on ZocDoc, you can easily search by specialty or symptom to build the care team that's right for you. And it's so easy to use. I'm using it right now. I just put in my insurance information. I'm looking for a new dentist. So I can search through here. I can start reading the reviews. They're verified patient reviews, so I can get a sense, hey, am I comfortable with this person? Then I can get the appointment set up right in the app. No calling, no waiting on hold. So if ZocDoc makes my life that easy, think about what it could do for you. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/sleep to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/sleep. ZocDoc.com/sleep. Thanks, ZocDoc, for sponsoring this message. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. If you fall asleep fast, I'm really trying to get your attention with this voice, so please pause a second, okay? But if you aren't in a position to support the show, if you're new, you only listen occasionally, you're just going through a tough time, don't worry about this message. We've got you. Listeners like Stephanie, support the show so you don't need to worry about it. But if you fall asleep fast, it's really tough to keep the podcast going in a way that benefits fall asleep fast listeners. It really comes down to fall asleep fast listeners supporting the show, which is, I guess, irony and paradox, because if you fall asleep within 5 minutes, why would you support the show, right? If fall asleep fast listeners don't support the show, it just can't even exist. Pretty weird conundrum, unique to shows like Sleep With Me. So I don't know, is your why strong enough? Fall asleep fast, is that a big enough why to support the show? Would the show not being here be strong enough a why for you to support the show? Or is there something else, like something like Stephanie said? Stephanie's been listening to the show for 8 years, and I had the same experience Scooter describes all the time. Tried it, disliked it, didn't get it, and then I was traveling and I gave it another try. And I fall asleep really quickly now, and it's completely worth supporting the show. In tough times, Sleep With Me's been there. And I feel like I spend so much money on things that have no meaning in my life. This show means so much to me that I can't help but be a supporter. In the past, I felt like other people would take care of it for me, like there was people with limitless money that should be doing the part for the rest of us. But once I really thought about how I spend my money and my deep relationship with the show, I realized I am one of those people who should be a supporter. It took a while to step up, but I did. Scooter works hard for us, so do a bunch of other people, too. And hard work deserves fair compensation. I just hope my support is helping. Well, it is, Stephanie, and it's helpful to hear your why. And if you've got a why, but you haven't supported the show, you could support the show because of your why right now, especially if you fall asleep fast at sleepinmepodcast.com/plus. But then I'm going to send you a video. I'd love to hear your why of why you're about to sign up and support the show. Or, you could be hopeful like me that someone else has a why out there and they fall asleep fast and they're going to sign up tonight. But if it's you could do that at sleepinmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
This posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Carl W. the legend. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And hey, the thing I've been talking about lately is there's ways to support the show beyond the sponsors and supporting the show directly. If you're an occasional listener, right? If you're a new listener or you can't afford to support the show, follow the show on your podcast app of choice. Make sure to like or comment if your app allows that, and say hi. Spread the word about the show in person when it comes up, or let people know about it. Go ahead right now. Follow the show on your podcast app right now. Then you get the latest episodes and stuff like that. Great. Yeah, spread the word when you can, or sign up we're relaunching our referral program. It's going to be based with live stream get-togethers every once in a while. We're going to make it more fun. You could sign up for that. sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. Thanks, and what do you say we get down with the show? Hey, you all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe, cozy, welcoming place, or a comfortable place where you can, I changed it and then I got mixed up. Safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, emoticons, Who doesn't, like, raise your hand if you've had enough with, here's a quick question. What's the difference between emoticon and emoji? Emoji. That sounds like it could be a joke in, like, third grade. I don't know what the punchline would be, because I don't know the difference between emoticon and emoji. Maybe the emoticons are just owned by, are they, like, trademarked, or emojis trademarked? Here's a quick question. Another one. Is there any emo emojis? I don't know if I'd like that, but, and if people say, what's that mean? I say, okay, never mind. Moving on. So this is a podcast, to create emo and emoji fans. How about a Brian Eno emoji? Eno emoji. There could be he knew, like, I don't know. Anyway, try to create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake. Whatever it is, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, tangents, going off topic, whether it's right away, in the middle of the show, gradually. If I do it unexpectedly, it'll be gradually. Incoherently, like, you choose the LY, and I'll, like, gobbledylee. But really, why I'm here is to help you fall asleep by taking your mind off of stuff. Like, I'm going to use creaky dulcet tones. I think maybe I already said that. I'll tell you right up front why I'm a little bit off tonight is because it's whatever the heck the day after springing ahead, or the morning of springing ahead. It's Sunday, March, whatever. When you hear this, it'll be like ideally 4 to 6, maybe 6 weeks from now, maybe. So hopefully you'll be adjusted, or maybe by then they'll say, well, let's just get rid of that whole spring time forwarding or whatever. I'd like to be time forwarded. I'd just say, hey, tell me when everybody's used to it. Just don't tell me the time. But whatever's keeping you awake, I'm trying to help. In the structure show, if you're new, thank you for checking this podcast out, by the way. I hope it helps you fall asleep. Doesn't work for everybody, but give it a few tries. But structurally, show starts with 4 minutes or so of business. That's how we keep the podcast itself, in all the archives free. Are the regular listeners that either stop the podcast and check that stuff out, or go to sleepinwithpodcast.com/sponsors the next day. That's how we keep the show going. So thanks for sitting through that if you're new. Then there's an intro, which we've begun. And the intros are usually around 12 to 14 to 17 to 11 minutes or so, somewhere in there. And the intro is just a show within a show. Usually I'd call it a warm-up, if I could get any hotter, but more like I guess it's more like a cool down. It would be in the regular world, it'd be like, yes, you're warming up. I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm kind of cooling off, and get cooling off so I can go off topic, slowing down. It's a slow down. I mean, that's really what I do at bedtime, is try to do some kind of slow down. But the intro is a show within a show where normally I demonstrate, say, what qualifies you to make a sleep podcast, to take your mind off, to take my mind off stuff. I say, well, let me show you. Let me show you the magic, because it's not really like magic. If there's something called rusty magic, I think that's what it is, creaky dulcet tones and rusty magic. That's what I use. And, faded sleep dust or whatever that a sand person has in their sleep sack. So the intro is like when you're getting ready for bed, you could play the intro, or you could play it when you're already in bed. And it just gets people ready for bed. If you want to get your pets used to, they say, well, this is an interesting human. Hopefully the intro also boosts your self-esteem, because you say, this person functions in the world, is a podcaster. And I say, yeah, that's about the only peg that I found that or the only hole the only peg my hole fits in, or whatever. Yeah, I think I have a hole and not a peg. I'm a hole in search of a peg. My hole, like, it's like, well, it's kind of oblong, but also octagon, like it has 7 sides, but all of them are uneven. And, yeah. Hello, I was calling the creator. I was trying to get info on if I was a hole or a peg, but I was actually in the middle of a podcast intro. So that's the intro. Then after that, tonight's episode, we'll be talking about Doctor Who in a way that you may not even know, or like, ideally it's just like a bedtime story or a meandering recap, like a bedtime story that's just distracting enough to take your mind off of stuff. And it's run through, like, run throughs in a way you say, well, that's, kind of not, doesn't really resemble Doctor Who. I'd say, well, exactly. It's very calming and soothing. And I mean, the doctor can be very soothing, at least to me, and so Rose can be, and Jack it can be, Mickey, Mickey's more of like the humor, which can be soothing, but it'll be more like meandering around the plot points, and making them friendly and soft, softening it up, I don't know, for bedtime, fluffing the old pillow. And then there's some thank yous at the end. There's also support in between the intro and the story. And so that's a structure show. So that's what you expect structurally. Then there's, what else do you need to know? Oh, well, you don't need to listen to me. You're under no obligation to pay attention, to learn anything, or there's no takeaways. There's more like fallaways, like I fall away or driftaways. That's what this podcast comes with. We'll have a few driftaways, thoughts that drift out away from me and that drifted away from you. So it's the only podcast you don't need to listen to it, but you can, or you could, but there's no shoulds or musts. And you could turn it down, or you could listen to it. You could listen to it during the day or while you're studying if you need to, or when you're stressed or you need a distraction at work. But I'll be here. And the other thing is you're under no pressure to fall asleep, because I'm going to be here for about an hour. And I'm here all the way to the end for that sliver of listeners that can't fall asleep. I'll be here for you in the deep, dark night, because I'm your friend. I'm your companion. So I'm here to help. But yeah, you're under no pressure to fall asleep. Ideally, it'll be a drift away where we'll be walking side by side, or hand in hand. How about arm in arm? That feels, that's actually like a very Whovian, I think. There's some hand holding, and if that's a problem, I probably won't talk about it on Doctor Who. Actually, I probably will cover hand holding, because they have platonic hand holding in there. Or you say subtextually, what does this hand holding mean? Or that's what I'll say during the episode. And I say, whose hand? I have never analyzed whose hand. Is that a genetic thing? Like where they say, okay, that's like how you hold hands? Or is that just, how come, I mean, I haven't, like, I don't do a lot of hand holding anyway. I do hand clasping. That's what I'm doing right now. But I say, never have clammy hands or fidgety hands until that big moment. But so we'll be talking about Doctor Who, then we'll have some thank yous at the end. So you don't need to listen to me. Sorry, I had somebody taking a shower upstairs, so I got interrupted. But I think I was saying you don't really need to listen to me, but I'm here to help. And I've been there, but like I'm in the discombobulated state of a person who's just sprung ahead for an hour. And, while that is like a specific thing, it can also be a broader thing where all of a sudden your sleep pattern gets thrown off. Or like me, it's like a Sunday. And this can happen even when you don't get a good night's sleep. It's the probably the hardest time to get tired is like, I think any day of the week is like 4 or 5 o'clock, because you could be at work, or even on a Sunday. I mean, maybe a Saturday, it's not too bad. But on a Sunday, it's the worst, because I say, well, I can't drink any caffeinated beverages because then I'll never get to sleep. Can't take a nap because I'll never get to sleep. And sleep's still a while off, and I still got a bunch of stuff I got to get done. And I know it can feel like that at work, or like, especially at work, 'cause then you got to go home and deal with stuff too. And I know what it's like that. Like, I don't know if it's lethargy or just being pooped or tired. You say, man, where you don't feel your best. And if there's any way, I know this podcast doesn't work for everybody, but if there's any way I can help steer you clear of that, even if it's not all the time, it's just occasionally, it would be an honor to do so, because it's just like you deserve a world that you can step fully into. And like I say sometimes in the intros, I would love it if you flourished. The world needs you to flourish out there, and water the other plants or whatever metaphor you want to use. And I don't know, just in general, I guess even if you don't water flowers, I say, well, if your day's a little bit nicer, or if your bedtime's a little bit less gloomy, that's what I'm here for. And mostly just to take your mind off stuff with my goofy goofing, or my short vocabulary is, I'm just here, just like a friend in the deep dark night. Like I say, just like if you called me up, I'd come over, I'd ramble and stuff. But if it was a real friend, you'd say, well, when are they going to get out of here? Are they going to leave any crumbs? Am I supposed to pretend I'm listening? Isn't there a social compact? There is no social compact. You know what? In this podcast, I compacted the social compact, and then I composted it, and then spread around so we could grow those flowers. And also, my brain, like I said, I really don't know what time of day it is. Like if you were staying outside, you said, well, I got 25 G's, Scoots. If you could tell me within 30 minutes what time of day it is, I'd give it to you. I couldn't tell you if it's 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, or 6:30 right now. And then what the time was yesterday, be like, okay, I don't know. Is it 1:30, but it's 6:30? I have no clue. And that happens with jet lag or changing work schedules, or, sometimes things are just in flux. So that's what the podcast is. It's here to take your mind off stuff and make bedtime a little bit less rigorous, a little bit less routine. Maybe you just barely smile when you say, maybe you don't even, maybe you just get to picture, instead of smiling at what I say, you just get like an emoticon, like you get the vision of that. Like I said, my favorite emoticon or emoji is a fox, like a fox-based emojis. I don't know why. Maybe from the game Firefox, I don't know, with hearts in its eyes. And then it doesn't even have to smile. Because they say there's a fox with hearts in its eyes. It's the best. Don't know what I've never had a opportunity to use it except in like a goof mode. Because I don't know if I've ever emoted. I've experienced the feeling of having a fox with hearts in its eyes. But maybe that's like what I'm trying to capture here at bedtime. You say, well, a fox with maybe like more clouds in its eyes. How about that? How about we agree on that? Whether it's an emoji, how about an emoji? We don't I don't know if you own emoji and emoticon around here, these parts we use emojis. But yeah, you'd say, well, that kind of sounds a little bit too close to emodium. And they say, no, emoji. Why'd you have to bring that up, brain? Anyway, I'm here to help. And if this is for your first few times, like I said, give it a few tries. There's no, I'm just trying to help. So test the podcast out. I hope it works for you. It doesn't work for everybody. But I really, really appreciate you checking the show out. I work very hard, and I strive and I yearn because I want to help you fall asleep, all right? And here's a couple messages of this is how we keep the show going. All right, everybody, this is Scoots here, and this message is going out to people that listen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week. But if you're new, you only listen occasionally, you're going through a tough time right now, or you're just not in a place where supporting the show is realistic, don't worry. We've got you supported. Taylor, that I'm going to talk about in a second, has you supported. But if this show is a nightly part of your routine, I got to be clear and honest with you. Sleep With Me keeps going because people who rely on it choose to support it when they can. And tonight, it comes down to either you supporting the show or someone that listens just like you choosing to support the show. Or there's a third option, which is no one signs up to support the show. And that's when it gets tough, and you could hear it in my voice over the past around a year or two. But when you sign up to support the show like Taylor did, I send you a video and I ask, why did you sign up to support the show? Why do you want us to keep going? Why do you listen every night? Why does it make your life better? Why is that important to you? Why is that valuable to you? So if you're the one, soon I'll be hearing your why, and that would be awesome. But Taylor's why, like it mentioned, they tried Sleep With Me on that recommendation, didn't like it. A few years later, they're struggling to find something, and it worked. And they signed up because they found the ads distracting. They wanted to see what it was like listening to ad-free episodes. The monthly cost is small compared to the benefit I get from the show. Because I found the show helpful, I do feel good about supporting the podcast so it can help other people. And a lot of other great info from Taylor, but I wonder what your why is. Is your why strong enough to get you to support the show right now if you listen 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week? Or are you wondering if there's someone out there like Taylor with a strong why that listens just like the show and is going to support it? If you got a strong why like Taylor, I'd love to hear it. I'm going to send you a video when you sign up and ask you about it. And that's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus.
All right, here we are. We're talking Series 1, Episode 12 of Doctor Who. Bad Wolf is the title of the episode. Wove. It opens with a recap of everything that happened on whatever that news station was. Space Station News, Satellite 5. Satellite 5 it's called. And the question, who controls the Satellite 5 really? If it wasn't Chewbacca and Simon Pegg, who was it? Who really controls it? And then we get the title 100 Years Later, and we hear some pumping music, really pumping music, like at a workout. Look at that, you jazz. No, I guess you wouldn't jazzercise. Do you jazzercise to jazz music? I guess, hold on, let me pause. It's a strange question, but there's this thing called jazzercising when I was like a little kid. I just remember seeing signs for it. I've never met with someone that says, were you into jazzercise? They say, oh yeah, totally. I'm sure there are people like a regular jazzerciser. Not someone that, went to 2 jazzercise classes, bought 10, went to 2. But there was this thing called jazzercise. And on the surface, I said, oh, it's just some sort of dance exercise. But now that I think about it, I said, was it exercise to jazz? Like, because that doesn't make, I love jazz. But I said, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Or at least maybe things changed in the 80s when the Satellite 5 went down. I said, well, no, you only exercise to throbbing, pulsating music. It's much better for the heart rate. But this does have the pulsating music, and then we see a spinning closet and a closet-like room. The doctor's asleep in it on the floor, and then he wakes up in a worry. He's like, what's happening here? The doctor confused, which I said, wow, and he's pushing on all the walls, and he's still spinning. He falls out of the closet. He's got a, whatever you call that, vertigo. And he can't stand up, and he says, what in the heck? And they say, this woman tries to help him. She says, it must be the trans mat. That's what did it to you. And she goes, why were you in there? No one said you were coming. And the doctor's like, what's happening? And she's like, be careful. You got the spins. And she says, are you okay? And the doctor says, what's going on? He's out of it. And she says, you've been chosen. And the doctor says, chosen for what? And she goes, you're a housemate. You're in the house. Isn't that brilliant? And she's very happy. And the doctor looks around. There's kids' drawings on the walls. The living room has red hand chairs, and there's other hand chairs. There's more disco pumping music. Lots of some modernist style art on the walls. Cameras, silver cameras. And there's eyes, like symbols of eyes everywhere. And then there's like a voice over a PA system that says, the doctor come to the diary room. And I guess this is a British version of Big Brother. And the doctor sits down in this gigantic red chair. Looks really comfortable. And also there's other characters that are like, what's a new housemate doing here? What in the heck? And I guess it's a voice of Big Brother. So I don't know. This might have been some sort of crossover. But the doctor sits down in this giant red chair. he looks a bit confused and peeved, and this is no swearing. You're on your channel 44,000. And he says, you got to be kidding me. And then the episode comes to an open. So we see he's on the set of Big Brother. Then we see a spotlight on Rose. She's asleep on a floor. There's some red light. It wakes her up. Someone's like, you must have amnesia. She says, because there's this guy, Roderick, because there's this gentleman trying to help her. And he says, what's your name? She goes, Rose. She goes, where's the doctor at? And he goes, he's trying to be very kind to her. He says, just do what the android says. Android's in charge. And she means like an android, like a robot. And then like a PA or somebody says, positions, everybody, get ready to go to air. And he helps her up. He helps her walk. And she says, I'm definitely in the wrong place. They say, final positions. Good luck. And she goes, I was with the doctor and Captain Jack. The doctor wouldn't just leave me somewhere. And she goes, I'm not supposed to be here. And he goes, well, it says Rose on the podium. Isn't that what your name is? He goes, come on, get to the podium. And the Rose is like, this doesn't make any sense. There's some flutes. Flutes and dramatic music. Rose is like, is this a dream? Yeah. And she goes, it can't be. And then they say android activated. And Rose realizes she's on the set of another show called The Weakest Link. And she goes, oh, it's an android. A-N-N-E. Which I think is the host of The Weakest Link. And she's got a robotic voice, fuzzy eyes. Oh, no. Then we see through fuzzy eyes. We hear two robotic voices. They're talking about Captain Jack's lantern jaw. And we see Jack's lying down. He's being examined by two, I guess, robots or androids. They kind of look cartoonish, anthropomorphic, I would say, because it's a new word. I'm trying to figure out what it means. And they say, geez, you're a handsome dude here. I guess this is another show called What Not to Wear. And Jack says, what I'm doing here was with the doctor. And they say, well, we got to get rid of your clothes. He goes, what's wrong with my clothes? They go, two 20th century, two vintage denim. And they go, very nice, classic, but we got to spruce you up. You're too Oklahoma farm boy. And then they zap off Jack's clothes, and he's like very confident. He goes, so your ratings just went up. So he's very pleased. He goes, Defabricator does what it says on the tin. And he's cracking everybody up, like I said. He's very happy. How did he know? What did I say? How did he know what? His clothes go bye-bye. He's happy. Oh, because he knows he's on TV. I said, how does he know he's on TV? But I guess because maybe he's familiar with the show, What Not to Wear. I could use that. But then we go back to the doctor. And he's still in the Big Brother house, but he's trying to get out. He's trying to open doors with his sonic screwdriver, but it's not working. And a woman's trying to help him. She goes, you're not going to get out of here. Ever since Big Brother 504, when everyone left, she goes, you don't remember that? And the doctor goes, what is this, two-way mirror? She goes, yeah, it's exoglass. And she says, don't talk about the outside world. And she goes, by the way, though, tell me about the outside world. Do people like me? I'm Linda with a Y, not Linda with an I. She got evicted for messing a camera up. She goes, am I popular? The doctor goes, oh, I don't remember. And she gets a little nervous. She goes, so I'm insignificant on TV? And then the doctor he goes, no, you're nice. You're sweet. Everybody thinks you're sweet. And she goes, sweet, really? He goes, oh, yeah, totally sweet to the max. And she goes, thanks. Then he goes to the two-way mirror or whatever. He goes, isn't there supposed to be a garden around here? She goes, yeah, no more gardens. She goes, who's got a garden nowadays? The doctor goes, well, I got a TARDIS. I just remembered his brain's starting to work. And then Linda goes, where did you come from? He goes, Raxacophalorapalpatoris. He goes, then we went to Kyoto in Japan, 1336, just got out of there. And we were cracking up on the TARDIS. There's a flashback to everybody laughing at the TARDIS. I almost said fartus. And then there's this bright light, and like everyone's kind of like frozen on the TARDIS. Jack Rose and the doctor. And he says, yeah, bright light coming through the walls. And then there's a weird angle on the doctor, like we're seeing it through a TV or something. And he talks into the two-way glass, I guess because we're seeing it through the two-way glass, to the control room. And the doctor goes, hey, Linda's also asking the doctor, what's going on? The doctor goes, something's going on here. It's not just he goes, I'm not a passing traveler. He goes, I don't get caught in transmats, and the TARDIS doesn't let in simple beams. This is the big time. And then he goes, something else going on. And that's when he says the thing, I'm going to get out. I'm going to find my friends, and I'm going to find you, whoever's in the control room. And they say, oh, this one dude in the control room, he's nervous. He says, oh, dear. He goes, I'm going to need to talk to one of my coworkers about this. But then there's a countdown for Rose's game show. And they're counting down. Rose is still like, I got to find the doctor. He's like, just play the game. And Rose goes, okay, I'm going to play to win then. Yeah, I'm not here to mess around. And Rose kind of is like more happy, like it's a joke. And they're like, start the clock. They say one player gets, what's the anagram of beard? It's food, bread. Fitch, what month comes after Hoob in the pan traffic calendar? Clavido. They go, no, Pandoff. Rose, what's 258 minus 158? 100. Roderick banks some money. Then he says, what letter of the alphabet is in dangle but not gland? And Roderick says, E. He says, Colleen, what's the payments given to Martian drones with the letter D? Default, correct. He says, Broth, on which great cobalt pyramid is the remains of a famous old institute? What's the institute? He says, Touchdown. They say, no, Torchwood, which I think is a spinoff of Doctor Who with Captain Jack. And Rose is kind of laughing, like, again, now she's really laughing. She doesn't care. Then they say, something about facetious, so like there's a lot of vowels in there or something. And they say, what has iron in it? And Fitch gets it wrong. Then they talk, who is Grevnick's married to? So they're just going through the board game, but it's like, I bet you it's all Doctor Who actual facts. Then we see Jack in an undershirt. He's like flexing and making model moves. Really funny. And talking to the robots. And they're saying, yeah, we want to get you up in some leather, dude. A little dash of a pirate and a piece of Schwarzenegger. And Jack goes, what about some color? And they go, no, you can't wear black and color together. Let's talk jackets. And Jack is kind of showing off, but you could tell these androids aren't up to any good either. And they say, geez, what about your face? Maybe we could, Jack goes, hey, man, don't worry about it. And then Android is interviewing Rose, but not in a nice way. She goes, what do you do? What's your job? And Rose goes, I'm a traveler. I guess a tourist. And Android says, so you're unemployed. She goes, no. And they say, well, do you have a job? She goes, no. Then Android says, yeah, you're unemployed. So you still dye your hair. So I think that was a gimmick on the British, like this Anne from Weakest Link was mean. And they say, why'd you vote out Fitch? She got questions wrong. And Fitch is really upset, just like she's going to lose like $400. And, they say, sorry, Rose doesn't get it yet. She says, sorry, Fitch. But then Fitch heads off to the big farm via the android. And she goes, Broth was the weakest link. And And Rose is like, what, are you kidding me? What kind of game show is this? This isn't like, not what I want to play. And they're like, okay, let's go to an ad. And then Roderick says, this is it. You got to play to win or not win and go to the big farm. And Rose goes, I'm not playing. And then Broff goes, I'm not playing. So he tries to leave. They send him to the big farm. And the android says, you're the weakest link too. Bye-bye. So Rose is like, holy mackerel. This is, sees, big adverts. Rose WTFs it to Adams. Play or not. Then all the housemates are gathered. There's 3 housemates and the doctor. They're all holding hands while the doctor's trying to get out. They're like, hey, don't mess around. You're going to get us all in trouble. They also have like black purses or something over their shoulders. I don't know if that's a thing with Big Brother. And what does this say? Cheery, then we're going to get... then they say, okay, whoever's getting voted out of the house is Crosby. And they say, Crosby, time to go. We're gonna come get you. Bye-bye. And there's a lot of hugs and disappointment. The doctor's totally kicking back like it's a TV show. He goes, okay, what's the big deal here? Let's see. And then, they say you're nominated for eviction. 8th person evicted is Crosby. Crosby's kind of determined. And the doctor's like, who cares? It's just a show. He's totally lying back on the couch. And they say, okay, 10 seconds. They make a little, with their hands, they make a entryway for her to exit, a hand gate for her to go under. Doctor's still like moving his feet on the couch, and they say, bye. And he says, don't believe me. Yeah, what does that say? They say, they say goodbye. Say, thanks for the food. That was great. Poor Crosby. And the doctor goes, oh, she's going to be successful on the outside. They go, there is no outside. They go straight to the big farm. And he's still laughing. And then they show, like, that she gets transmatted to the big farm, but instead of evicted. And the doctor's like, what in the heck? And he's confused. Everyone runs the TV. And then the doctor looks at this eye, starts moving. Then there's a clandestine meetup. There's an eye outlined with the Milky Way behind it and there's a clandestine meetup between 2 of the control room workers. They seem to be in a relationship. They're talking about rumors. They're smiling. They're saying, well, those people aren't supposed to be in the game, but the controller's watching everything. So maybe she knows what's going on. Maybe we're making human errors. Or maybe she's making human error. And they said, well, maybe she's not human. Then we see the controller. She's like integrated, digital organic being integrated into the control panels. With cool black light and lighting and stuff. And she's talking in numbers. She's like running all the shows at the same time. 10, 9, 41, 50, that kind of stuff. Then we go back to the Big Brother house. Doctor's like, when the heck would you be on a TV show where you could get sent to the big farm? Why would you be on that show? And Linda's like, we don't have a choice. And the doctor goes, what do you mean? I thought you applied to be on the show. She goes, yeah, hundreds of years ago. And she goes, you get chosen and that's it. There's 60 Big Brother houses at once. And they go, yeah, there used to be more. Not what it used to be. And the doctor says, it's a charnel house. And then he says, what does he say? Caveman out like this? What does that mean? He says, whatever. He says, this is it. He says, I'm going to mess up this camera and send it out. So then I get thrown out of the house. Then we go back to Jack. He's now playing tennis. He's in a total tennis outfit and playing around with a tennis racket. too decent. He said, oh, there are too many. He goes, I'm not into all the wearing all this white. It's too decent. And they go, okay, don't worry. We're doing another stage. So we're ready for stage 2. And he goes, what's that? And they go, well, just we change you into we do a face off like with a puppy. And Jack's not, he pulls like a complex laser deluxe out of his, somewhere out of thin air, but he had it hidden. And so he takes out the robots and escapes, no problem. Then we go back to the weakest link. One more person gets voted out, Colleen. And they go solar flare activity. We got 10 minutes to finish this episode. And Rose goes to Roderick, well, why'd you vote Colleen out? She's good. And he goes, yeah, because I want to go against you, so I win. Stacked load of credits from Bad Wolf. And she goes, Bad Wolf? And he goes, that's who runs the game station. And she goes, huh, that's Bad Wolf. And he goes, yeah, that's an old nursery rhyme or something. Rose goes, I keep hearing Bad Wolf. Then she has like a little bit of a flashback to other times she's heard Bad Wolf this season. Talking strategy, Bad Wolf recap. Then the doctor, we see a bunch of scenes with from the season with Bad Wolf. Rose is like, going on, Bad Wolf is in charge of this quiz. Maybe I'm not here by mistake. This is not an accident. It's been planned. Then we go back to the doctor, and they say, hey, doctor, you're kicked out of the house. You're evicted. He cheers. He's so happy. They say 10 seconds to say farewell, then we're going to get you. And they say that gleefully. And he just rushes for the door. And Linda's like, actually, I think you're cool. And the other housemate's like, just like totally into the game. And the doctor says, come on, transmat me somewhere. Go for it. I don't believe it. They're jumping over the couches. He's a bonkers eviction. But he says, come on. And then it doesn't work. He goes, yeah, you would have, he goes, I'm supposed to be here. Don't you get it? He goes, what are you waiting for? Oh, Linda goes, he's gone bonkers. That's what she says. And then the doctor says, he figures out a way to unlock the door. He says, hey, Linda, why don't you come with me? And then they show the control room trying to figure it out at the same time. And they're like, why isn't he getting evicted? It's some sort of strange override. And the doctor goes, hey, by the way, to the cameras, he goes, I'm getting out. Then he reaches out to Linda. We see that classic Doctor Who holding his hand out shot. Very cool. He says, come on, 50-50 in here. I'll help you. And he goes, you're sweet. He goes, I don't know if that's a winning combo on this kind of Big Brother. And let's see, classic Doctor Who. Then he's like, hold on. They go out, and he's like, this is a Satellite 5. And he tries to open some doors. He does a bit of bragging and flirting. He says, I've been here before. And he goes, why isn't anybody around here? And Satellite 5. And Linda goes, no, it's a game station now. It was Satellite 5 100 years ago. And the doctor was like, I was on floor 139 last time and caused a little bit of a trouble. But then I gave things a hand and headed out home for tea. Yeah, that's where he's bragging and flirting. And he's still trying to get good. And Linda's like, you're looking good for 100 years. You were here 100 years ago. He said, oh, yeah, I moisturize. And he goes, this is strange energy in here. Way too much energy, too many transmissions, too much power. And Linda goes, I think we're the first contestants to be out of there. And the doctor goes, well, I got to find 2 other people. And she goes, they could be anywhere. There are 100 different games. And he says, like, what? She goes, let's see, call my bluff, countdown, ground force, wipeout, stars in their eyes. And the doctor goes, you watch this stuff? She goes, yeah, everybody does. How come you don't? He goes, oh, I didn't pay my license for my license. She goes, that's big trouble. He goes, go ahead. I dare them. And she goes, who are you really? He goes, it doesn't matter. And she goes, well, now I'm with you. And he goes, I'm just a traveler. He goes, I'm looking for a quiet life. And she goes, if we get out of here, you're going to head off? He goes, yeah. And then she goes, maybe I could come with you. He goes, maybe. And the doctor he says, wait a second, is there a connection here? And he goes, then we got to concentrate on getting out of here. Who's in charge of Satellite 5? And then we see the Big Wolf, Linda turns on a sign, Bad Wolf Corporation. And the doctor's like, holy mackerel. Then we're up on episode 500 in Control. They're trying to figure out how the doctor got out. A control person's like, hey, the controller's got to handle this. Maybe we should check. Then another controller, she's like, maybe we should check Archive 6 to see how they got here. And they say, the controller, she says, Archive 6 out of bounds, turned off. And they say, well, we got to stop the games. She goes, no stopping the games. And the dude says, we can't just let them wander around. She goes, yeah, they are no one. I said, what in the name of GOT? They're no one from the House of Black and White, eh? And they're still trying to figure out what do they do. They're like, well, we got to check the logs. And she goes, no, just trust me. Solar flares in a few minutes. So we got to get the show going. Then we have Jack getting out of his thing. Then we have Lyndon getting out of his level and heading to the elevator and trying to figure out what floor. Then he finds the doctor on some sort of scanner. He says, okay, which floor is he on? Two hearts beat as one, or maybe they beat it separately, binaural vascular system or whatever. And he heads to the level of doctors on. Doctor and Linda are like, they go to the same place that Adam saw Earth from 100 years before. And the doctor's like, did you ever watch that show Bear With Me? He goes, I love Bear With Me, the celebrity edition. 3 people in a bear that live with a bear. And then they see the Earth. He's like, the Earth doesn't look right. And she goes, yes, it's been off for a long time, but now we have 10,000 channels all coming from this station. And the doctor's like, a sheep being fed on a diet of whatever you have to live with. Oh, that's when they talk about the bear show. He goes, this should be the 4th great and bountiful human empire. He goes, I thought I said things right 100 years ago. Well, Linda's like, that's when things got bad 100 years ago. All the news went off and we couldn't think for ourselves. She goes, it was a long 100 years. And the doctor goes, it was my fault. And he's, man. Then, I made this world. Then another game player goes to Big Farm. So it's Rose versus Roddick on their own. They handsome. What does that mean? Then we see, hey, handsome. Jack runs to the doctor. Jack says, hey, handsome. And he goes, you found Rose? And the doctor goes, no. And Jack goes, okay, the rooms are shielded. Let's just hack this computer. And the doctor's like, that's what I'm trying to do. And Jack says, hurry up. And the doctor goes, yeah, I know. And Jack gives him some sort of wrist computer. He goes, we'll find her. And then the Jack goes, hey, Linda, how you doing? I'm Captain Jack Harkness. Nice to meet you. The doctor goes, can you not flirt with my friends? He goes, I just said hi. He goes, that's flirting. And Linda goes, hubba hubba. And Jack kisses her hand, which all of that frustrated the doctor. Jack was in leather pants and a leather vest with a white T-shirt. They're on floor 407 currently, I believe. Or is that what floor Rose is on? They say, Jesus, this is weird, this whole bad wolf thing. He goes, I think I've been playing, and now, like, they've been playing me, and now Rose is stuck. Then we go back to the game. It's Rose versus Roderick, and Rose gets a question wrong about Sheffield. She says it's York. Then the doctor finds her on 407, and Linda's like, that's the android. That's a worse show. We got to get up there. Roderick doesn't know that Lucky was written by Jackie Collins. He thinks it's Jackie Stewart. Then they say, who's the oldest inhabitant of the ISOP of the galaxy? Face of what? And I even knew. Face of Bo. who lives in a glass aquarium and his head is big and round, just like a pineapple under the sea, the face of Bo, which is correct. Then the doctor, Jack and Linda are on the elevator trying to get up there. Roderick gets the correct answer. President of the Red Velvets is a Hoshman Frayne. And they say, Rose, what planet does can you eat Gaffa back on? And she goes, Mars. They go, no, another question, no, another planet. And Roderick's getting happier. Doctor's on his way. They say, what measure of length did the Emperor Jate say was the distance from your nose to your fingertip? They say, he says a gaffle. They go, no, it's a pob. And they say, Rose, Stella Park Baint was famous for what? Rose goes, shoes. And they go, nope, hats. And then you think Roderick gets a question. No, he gets it wrong. Saying Hazeldine or something. The doctor's almost there. They get to the floor, and they're trying to figure out which room is room 6. And they're just trying to get the door open, but it has, some sort of biological combination. They go, Rose, what's your favorite Icelandic city? She goes, Reykjavik. They go, no, Bonaventura. And then they go, Roderick's like, you lost. And Rose can't believe it. She's like, you can't play this game here. I just got to find the doctor. The doctor wouldn't leave me behind. And Android goes, so Roderick, you're the winner, 100,600 credits. Rose goes, this isn't right. Then the doctor says, he comes running in, Rose, with Jack. Jack says, stop the game. And the doctor says, I order you to stop the game. And Rose goes running to the doctor. The floor manager goes, this show is live. And they say, look out. And then Rose gets, apparently, temporarily, we think she goes to the big farm. But, this is a sleep podcast, so I'll tell you she doesn't right here. But there's a poof of dust symbolizing a trip to the big farm. And for the moment, we see the doctor think she's there. And he's touching the dust and bending down. And he has this really high-level acting look on his face. And Captain Jack is not happy. The doctor's kind of moving his mouth. The security comes and busts him. Jack is really hot and bothered. And the doctor's just kind of numb in distance. And then they get busted. So they got to go back to a mall. It's like mall security. And they say, Jack's like, don't even talk to the doctor. I can't believe this game show. Really good. If I didn't last episode, I was a Jack fan. Now I'm a huge Jack fan. And then we see satellite, a distant shot of that. And then they're quizzing the doctor and Jack about a sonic screwdriver. They say, you're nicked. How'd you get on board? And Linda says, don't talk to the doctor, who's totally in silent staring mode. And they say, you're going to go to lunar penal quality. It does not spend face who. What does that mean? They say, who are you? And the doctor's still not talking. And then they show the doctor, get the mug shots are back in the cell. That's when they say, do you understand you're going to lunar colony? And it's, let's do it. Jack and undershirt, does that say? They see Jack, the actor says to Jack, let's do it. And then it's action mode. And they get out, no problem. And that's cool. Then the programmers are like, oh no, they got out. And they go, the doctor goes straight to floor 500. And they're trying to lock it up. They're coming up here. And the doctor has the defabricator. And Jack has some more traditional stuff. And they both look cool. And the doctor says, then they say, hey, the solar flares are about to go on. the controller flares say that. They say, controller, we got trouble. And they get to the floor. Jack says, okay, everybody don't try anything. And the doctor says, listen to the captain. And he says, this is more than a game station. Who runs that android? And no one says anything. The controller's like, solar flare's about to hit. He goes, I want some answers. And they're like, why are you, he goes, this is just for fun. And the doctor goes, relax. And they go, you're going to get busted. The doctor goes, no, I'm not. And he goes, what's up with the controller here? And they go, she's the link to all the transmissions. So the whole satellite output goes through her. She's been working here since she was 5. And Jack goes, Doc, we got 10 minutes. I sealed the door. And then they go, one of the controllers goes, actually, there's been some strange unauthorized transmats. You saying this just isn't a game station? The doctor goes, what freaking games have you been playing? But he says, show me the unauthorized transmissions. And they go, you can't go in Archive 6. And Jack's headed back there. He goes, do I look like an out-of-bounds sort of guy? And Jack goes into Archive 6. The TARDIS is in there. What else we got? Doctor and the crew. Doctor, where's the doctor? When the solar flare comes, everything is in blue and purple light, which is cool. Who are they? Found the TARDIS. So Jack goes in the room with the TARDIS, and he sees Rose's jacket there. And at first he's a little down. This is 321, what the heck, transmit beam. Doctor, where's the doctor? Isn't that later when Rose wakes up? I don't know. Oh, no, that's the controller saying, Doctor, where's the doctor? So then the solar flare comes in. Basically, the doctor's talking to the controller. And Jack finds the TARDIS, looks at Rose's jacket, but then he starts doing some hacking on the TARDIS. And the controller starts talking to the doctor. She says, all I could see was numbers, but then I saw you. And the doctor goes, what do you want? She goes, I can only talk during the solar flares. I've got, my programmers, they can't hear me right now. But I can't say their names either. And I have to be careful. They're monitoring the transmissions, but they don't watch the program, so I hid you in the games. And the doctor goes, what about Rose? She goes, does it matter? He goes, it matters to me. And she goes, my programmers have been planning the earth for many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of years, and they're growing stronger. And he goes, who are they? And she goes, they talk about you. They don't like the doctor. And he goes, who are they? Then the solar flare leaves. So then she goes back to regular game mode. The doctor goes to the programmer, when's his next solar flare? He goes, 2 years. He goes, Then Jack comes out. He goes, I found the TARDIS. And the doctor goes, who cares? We're not going anywhere. And he goes, no, but the TARDIS figured it out. He goes, watch this. He goes, Rose wasn't sent to the big farm. She was just transported. And the doctor's like, holy cow. Let's see, TARDIS, Rose's jean jacket. This is the other page of blue. Okay, so I missed that somehow earlier. Transmitted beam. They get transmitted across space. That means Rose is okay. And the doctor goes, Rose, really? She's okay? And they're so happy, the two of them. And they like hug each other and jump and grin, the doctor and Jack. Then we hear a beep, a beeping sound, and Rose wakes up in a cool-looking room. There's pulsating, beeping, purple and blue lights, a clean, dark-colored floor. And she slowly wakes up, and then she looks up and she looks at something. She goes, she says, WTF, and we realize it's like a comic day, one of the comic Daleks, looking at her through one of their camera tubes. And then we go back, and the controller's giving the doctor, she says, hey, guess what? I'm going to tell you where they are. even with the solar. The doctor goes, no, there's no solar flare. She goes, yeah, they're at 6.1, 95.7 kicks FM or whatever. And then she gets transmatted out. And we see, so Game Master gives the coordinates. She's transmatted out. And she goes, oh, my comic Daleks. You shouldn't have messed with comic books. You can't change the history. And then we're back at the control room. And the one dude that's the controller, his name's Davich Papel. And him and Jack get along. Jack's like, I like the cut of your jib, by the way. Because he goes, I downloaded my own file of unscheduled transmissions. And then the other programmer, she says, what does this been? Some sort of disguise all along? And the doctor goes, oh, yeah. Even the Chewbacca was, this is a long game. Controlling the history of the human race for generations. And then Jack gives the doctor a sonic screwdriver back, makes it into a pointer. Let's see. Javich Papel, proactive. Oh, yeah, good proactive work, Jack. And they cancel, some sort of, beam crossing out. And he says, look at this. Look at the pure feed. And it's like lots and lots of UFOs with chanting music. Because he says, yeah, it was hidden from sonar and radar, but a sonic screwdriver with small adjustment from Jack and knowing the location. And Jack's like, those ships were gone. And the doctor goes, nope, they're not. And Linda with a Y says, who are they? And the doctor says 200 ships, 2,000 on board, 500,000 of them. And they say 500,000 who? And he goes, Daleks, anti-comic book, you're going to rid the world of comic books. Oh, do you have comic books in this alternative timeline? And they go, we do. It's the one thing on Earth, that brings children joy still, other than television. And young adults and adults. And then the Daleks, they come in. They're kind of freaking out. They say stand to stand. But whatever, they're on camera. And they say, we're detected. Doctors located us. Open the communications. Oh, they say, Rose, stand up. So she's like with the Daleks, and then the Dalek says, I'll talk to the doctor, and the doctor's already there. He says, okay, that's great. Hi. And he waves at them, smiling. And they go, we're in the middle of the Dalek stratagem, and the fleet's ready. Don't intervene. And the doctor goes, why is that then? And they go, well, we're here with Rose. And the Rose is kind of staring, kind of determined. And they say, don't mess with us. And the doctor goes, no. And the Dalek says, explain yourself. And the doctor goes, no. And the Dalek he goes, what's the meaning of this negative? And the doctor goes, it means no. And they go, well, what about Rose? And the doctor goes, I'm not worried about it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come rescue Rose right from the middle of the Dalek fleet. I'm going to save Earth. And I'm going to save all the comic books, and I'm going to, end your comic crusade. And they go, well, you have nothing, no ships, no defenses, no plans. And the doctor goes, yeah, and doesn't that make you nervous? Because I'm still confident. And then this is really a high point. And then he goes, Rose, I'm coming to get you. She goes, yes, doctor. And she already knows. She's converted from to total confidence, too. She has, determined, she's breathing, determined breathing with almost a smile. And he goes, yeah, I'm coming to get you, Rose. She goes, yes, doctor, I'm coming to get you. And really pinnacle, great acting. And then the Daleks just flip out. They doctor's initiating action, stratagem must advance, get moving. And they go, and also get rid of the comic books and the doctor. And they say comics. And then there's like thousands of Daleks all in unison, all like going to their workstations. Which he said the Daleks, some of the Daleks have workstations, some of them just float around. And there's a lot of them, and they all get ready to go. See the doctor in the comics of Earth, and the episode comes to a close. So sleep well, dreaming of, because the Daleks, they like to read comic books. They'd be good at bedtime stories. Maybe the doctor will convert them, tone down their voices, give them some creaky dulcets to read kids' bedtime stories instead. And say, hey, here's a bedtime story from your favorite Dalek. They could call them story licks instead. I guess that wouldn't be very good. But rest well, my friends, and I'll see you soon.
All right, everybody, this is Scoots. This is a tuck you in message. And as I start this message out, I want to make this very clear, especially if you're listening right now and you're new. You only listen to this show occasionally, like once in a while when you need it, or you're just having a tough time right now, getting through something, getting over something, the kind of things I talk about in the intro. Or if you're like me, a lot of times in my life where things financially felt challenging and supporting the show just isn't possible, you really don't need to do anything. You don't need to support the show directly or be concerned because we really do have you. And I'm going to read through some testimonials of people that support the show for them and for you. And those testimonials are just a few of the thousands of people that support the show so it can be here for people that can't support the show, or it really wouldn't make sense if you're only listening occasionally, if you're new, for you to support the show. So we have you covered. Like the listeners I'm going to read through tonight, and like I'm trying to return to doing, we've done in the past, they're the reason the show can be here night after night, and that you don't have to worry about it. But before we get to those testimonials, there is a BUT, right? If you are listening right now and you normally listen all night long to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes a night, or you listen most nights during the week, if you fall asleep fast and you just happen to be hearing this, or you've been listening longer than a year, if the show is a big part of your evenings, your wind down, and your sleep, that's where I've been trying to be more and more clear and direct. I love making this podcast. The people that work with the show, work on the show, love making it. I love being a service, trying to bring sleepy joy and delight, help you fall asleep, bring you comfort in the deep, dark night. But the only way that happens is if you're in one of those listener categories, is if people that listen the same way as you do support the show. And we all go through seasons, right? So maybe you had your season of supporting the show, or maybe your season of supporting the show's coming up, or maybe you're like, well, I'm not sure. Let me look outside and see what I think. Or maybe you're hoping like that someone else will support the show, because it is either you or someone that listens like you supporting the show, or it's no one supporting the show tonight, right? It's either an all-night listener other than you, or you, the all-night listener, you, the multiple nights a week listener, you, the person that's been listening, or someone else that listens just like you, or it's just to be clear, like that's really what keeps the show going and impacts ups and downs of the show. So I don't know if tonight's your night. If you are in a position to support the show, you've been putting it off, maybe think about supporting it right now at sleepinmepodcast.com/plus. And don't wait for tomorrow or set some kind of thing tomorrow, or kind of like me, think fondly of the person that we're both hoping steps up tonight, that all-night listener, that person that falls asleep fast, somebody that's been listening 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, or someone that's here every night with us. But who has you guys? Who's in the community supporting the show for everyone? Well, Melissa is. Melissa's been listening for over 2 years now, nearly nightly. So a nearly nightly listener. and it helps so much and puts me in a very relaxed mood. I finally subscribed when I realized on most nights I didn't have my phone with me, but I could literally recite the beginning of the podcast in my head. And even that in my head almost worked. And the reason I didn't do it sooner was part of it was cost, but now I'm in a financial place to do so. But the other part was complacency. I think forgetting to do it when I inevitably would fall asleep. I've always been one of the super listeners described on the show, and I kept putting it off. And I think that came from a place of having all free podcasts. I think it was just truly complacency. I think you say it well in the podcast. This show has given me so much support and help. It's time to turn around and support you and the team. It feels nice to feel like we have a hand in keeping it afloat, and that is really true. And Taylor also supported the show, and Taylor said, I'm an adult, late 20s, early 30s, go through brief periods of insomnia that last around a month, and I tried Sleepin' Me on a friend's recommendation and bounced off it. It wasn't until a few years later when I was really struggling that I tried it again, and it worked. And I found the ads distracting and decided to try out ad-free ones by supporting the show and found this version worked perfectly. The monthly cost is small compared to the benefit I get from the show. And even when my insomnia quiets down a bit, I still enjoy listening to the show because I like listening to Scooter. So thanks, Taylor. And then Stephanie. Stephanie has been listening for about 8 years, and I had the same experience Scooter just describes all the time. I tried the podcast and disliked it. I just didn't get it yet. And then later I was traveling. I thought I'd give her another try, and I've been listening since. And I really like the references on the show, some of the personal stories, and I can fall asleep really quickly now, and that's completely worth supporting the show. And I put on Sleepin' Me also to make me feel more comfortable in other times. I just feel like I spend so much money on things that have no meaning in my life. This show means much more to me that I can't help but being a supporter. In the past, I felt like other people would take care of it for me, like there was people with limitless money who should be doing it for the rest of us. But once I really thought about how I spend my money and my deep relationship with the show, I realized I am one of the very few people who should be a supporter. It took a while, but I did so 3 years ago. I feel like I'm probably one of those super listeners. Scooter works hard for us, and hard work deserves fair compensation. And what about Debbie, who said, I listen almost every night, sometimes all night. I try to keep my queue full. I especially like the Trader Joe's episodes, and I feel comforted by a familiar voice. That's why I support Sleepin' Me as a boar bestie, and it seems like a good value. The obstacle to me supporting the show was remembering to do so. Was to remember to do it once I decided to support this podcast. And if I feel responsible, free is great. But if something has worth, it's also important to support it financially. So thanks, Melissa, Taylor, Stephanie, and Debbie for supporting the show. It wouldn't exist without listeners like you. And maybe you relate to it. Maybe you're the person tonight, the Taylor, Stephanie, Debbie, Melissa tonight that supports the show. And when you do, I believe it or not, I send out a video and I ask you why. So I'm looking forward to hearing your why of why you support the show. Thanks.